everyone. So Cisco, they have announced a few new certification program at their Cisco Live conference in San Diego. So they have made a lot of changes in their certification program. So here in this video, we are going to discuss about the changes that they have made in their curriculum. And here we have Mr. Sudhanshu with me, and we'll talk about the changes throughout the content.
Yeah. Hi. So from the morning itself, even you have been getting a lot of students asking like what's changed, what's not changed, how will the certifications get impacted which are currently available. So we were having this casual conversation, and I gave this idea that instead of just let's record it so that a lot of other people will be having these questions. So to begin with, frankly speaking, a lot of things have changed. Okay. And if you remember, 2 to 3 days back, we were discussing it's the last time CCNA certification changed was
in
2015 or 16 beginning something. Yeah. And we were discussing it's the usual 3 years has gone and now
they can make changes at any time.
So we were not aware that they'll change the whole curriculum. Okay, as in they have made changes in all the levels almost. Right? Even you have gone through some of the changes.
They have made quite of changes in CCIE certifications as well, like CCIE routing and switching. They have changes to the enterprise infrastructure. Yeah. They have renamed it.
Yeah. So
let's talk about what are the major things that they have changed, like starting from the very basics, like starting from the
CCNA. So I'll begin and you can add because even something. So it's something like what I found from morning itself, whatever I've read on the Cisco website and all. What I found was like they have kind of listened to what the people were saying. Okay, like whenever people came for this older track, I was in the habit of saying to people, like when people used to go for something like CCNA collaboration, when they went for CCNA collaboration, they didn't know about the whole collaboration scenario. They just got introduced to a lot of things, products, right? And then they were not good at any product after completion of CCNA. So even I used to recommend to a lot of people who were working into more in depth into that particular technology. I used to usually recommend to collaboration people to go ahead and go till CCNP. And I believe similar things were
in the CCNA routing and switching and the
CCNP routing, switching and security even,
as well.
Right? So what's changing and how they have changed? Frankly speaking, they've made it very flexible in terms of you can decide what you want to pursue. And since technology is changing rapidly, Cisco keeps on changing this. And let's begin with talking about what's changing in CCNA. Okay. The first thing is, there's a lot of these different flavors of CCNA. Okay, we were having CCNA Cloud, collaboration, CyberOps, CCNA Data Center, CCDA, industrial collaboration. Like I think 10 or 11 CCNA. Yeah. So basically, they are doing away with those. Okay, and they have come up with a single CCNA. Okay, they have kind of focused on. You see, they have made so many changes that I have had to keep a list of things like what all things have changed. I don't want to miss any point. So if you find me looking at here, I'm just cross-checking whether I'm covering all the points or not. Okay. So point is like CCNA. Okay, it was always focused on the beginners into networking. Okay, and with time this became a bit complicated, right? People who wanted to begin their career, now they were more concerned about like whether if I want to begin my career into collaboration, should I go for CCNA R&S or not? So if you look at that, they have changed that. Okay, what I found from looking at it is they have removed all of those 10, 11 flavors of CCNA and they have boiled it down to just one single CCNA.
One consolidated CCNA.
One CCNA, single CCNA. And it's kind of acting like a foundation program for beginners. Okay. And that does not mean, first time I thought it and I heard about it, I thought, okay, maybe they have boiled everything down and added collaboration in that same security and everything, but they have not done that. Okay, what they have done essentially is kind of they have removed the irrelevant parts in CCNA. Okay, there were some, and every year some things become obsolete, more and more obsolete. So they have removed those, and I think more or less you can say that there is a 10% change, right? 10%, which is the new automation
things, and
API, SD-WAN, those kind of things, which is new. Okay, and if you compare it to the current CCNA, okay, we should not say old CCNA. Okay, from the morning people are asking, okay, old CCNA. It's not old CCNA, it's still current, right? So if you talk about the current CCNA, they have removed certain topics, like you were telling me something about
EIGRP. I think EIGRP and RIP, these two topics have been completely removed.
Yeah, so that's a big change, but at the same time, I think RIP had to rest in peace someday, right?
I don't think like you will see RIP routing protocol in any of the
it's just on those places where it is being used and people don't want to touch the network, right? So it had to be actually removed from this
CCNA curriculum.
CCNA curriculum. Okay, and if you compare the the key topics of this new CCNA, okay, the whole 5-6 things like fundamentals, they are still there. OSI, TCP, IP, OSI model, it was removed.
They have removed it.
Like,
they just need
it's not namely mentioned, although I think a lot of people like us who will begin training will still continue from starting from OSI, right? Because that's very foundation and important. And then if you talk about the network access, they have talked about the switching, .1Q, trunking, VLAN, STP, similar things. I think IP connectivity is where from
routing and everything. IP connectivity, like they have like basic things in that, like IP addressing and submitting a little bit. And in the they have the routing, but in the routing they have mostly the static routing and the OSPF. They have completely removed the RIP routing protocol and the EIGRP.
I find EIGRP is a big step, right? But although Cisco
they do have it in the CCNP and CCIE certifications, but they have removed it from the CCNA.
So they are kind of consolidated into the fundamental beginning for any fresher, okay, or anybody who, not necessarily a fresher, maybe a person who is switching his career path and moving towards networking. Then they have introduced some security, some serious security things.
They have, I think they have the introduction part of the AAA.
And that was earlier there as well, right?
AAA was earlier as well. Like most of the people don't used to focus on that part that much. But nowadays I think like they have to.
Because I think they have increased the percentage of that.
They have increased it like around to 10 or 15%. I believe around 15 to 15% is security part.
Okay.
And the new thing that they have added is the automation and programmability, where you have to they will introduce with the SDN and these things like. That is what
that's what people will have to get used to now, because the way networks are becoming intuitive. Okay, things are changing a lot, right? So next, if you talk about the second thing, which is changing it a lot. Okay, they have changed the levels. Okay, did you pay attention to that?
Like they have removed like the professional kind of that level. They have introduced something like a specialist.
So I'll just clarify what initially I was even confused and like what they have tried to do. Earlier specialist certification were completely separate, right? So people used to do this telepresence specialist, these contact center specialist certification, and they were considered separate from this NA, NPI, associate professional expert level. But if you look at this, the hierarchy now, it's like they have kind of brought it right into the middle between the associate and professional. The specialist certification has been brought here. And if you pay attention to this, okay, this is what I was talking, like they have made it very flexible in terms of people who earlier used to do, or still, for next 6 to 8 months, they will be doing their CCNP. They had to go for this whole 3 exams. If suppose somebody is going for CCNP route switch, if you go for just route, okay, you get nothing.
Route switch and TSUT had to take this.
Once you go for all these 3 exams, then you used to get a certificate, right? And often times I've seen students, they kind of get demoralized in middle. Like, okay, even after clearing one certification, they don't get something to show off, right?
Yeah. They still have 2 steps to go. Like they have to clear the next 2. Yeah.
Okay.
So they have introduced this specialist exam. So what exactly is in this?
Yeah, what I found out is that what they have done is they have boiled it down to 2 things basically. Okay, so if you want to go for a CCNP exam, okay, basically there will be one core exam. Okay, core exam includes most of the concepts that you need to know at that particular track. Okay. So one module is core. Okay. In all these different paths, like collaboration has a core, enterprise. If I may sometimes mistakenly say it, routing switching, I mean enterprise. Okay. Collaboration has a core module. Enterprise has a different core module. Security has a different core module. So the core module is what is a mandate exam. Okay. Once you go for the core module, okay, you get rewarded with a certification of specialist. Okay, so you have something to show off to your employer.
That I have basically done one part of
this. So one thing is done.
Okay. Now I can move on to the second one. Okay.
That's better in terms of like, it gets the person motivated as well, way much
they
better.
They are at least getting something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the second thing what you will find is that after the core exam, the second exam, you can choose the concentration exam. Okay, for concentration exam they have kept a lot of variety in there. Okay, I'll be coming back to that. We have made an image for you to properly understand it in terms of certification path. And in that concentration exam, once you go after the core exam, once you go for the concentration exam, you have a lot of options, a lot of exams. One of the exams you go for out of all those, you become a CCNP of that particular path. So basically, it's costing less money for certification, right? Okay. So another thing what they have done is, like, they have added a whole new different track. Okay, a DevNet track. Okay, and if you look at the DevNet track, okay, basically now there are 2 types of people who are pursuing career into networking, and sometimes there are software developers who are developing applications, APIs, and scripting stuff for network devices. Okay,
got it.
So this was a long pending demand from software developers. Okay, basically you can consider it as 2 different branches. Okay, kind of like the people who are coming from engineering perspective. And okay, I have nothing to do with this development scripting. CLI is there, but they don't want to do those hardcore programming or if-else statements and stuff.
Okay.
But at the same time, there are people who are software developers and they make nice applications which are fetching proper things from the network devices, and at the same time trying to push and automate things. Okay, so the DevNet was already there, but now they were part of kind of like a specialist things. Okay, now they have properly aligned it with this associate professional, associate specialist professional. This habit will go hard, right? Because we were always in the habit of saying associate then professional. So associate, specialist has come in middle, right? Expert, So after associate there is specialist and professional. There is a professional. And I checked out on some of the places in the Cisco website as of 11th June, okay, 2019, okay, because this is for the future, so not sure when you will be watching this. So they are planning to make a DevNet expert kind of certification, kind of like a CCIE for the software developer.
Got it. Software, yes. Okay.
So as of now, they have not released any information like how will the exam be? Will it be like a CCIE exam? Obviously, it will not be. It will be something different. So, not sure about that. Okay. For the people who are pursuing it from the engineering perspective, network engineers perspective, they'll be doing it the same way as CCNA, specialist, professional, and expert. Okay. And if you look at, this, like, this is a nice image I found on Cisco website. And basically, they have they have kind of reduced the number of certification tracks. Okay, and one more thing I'd like to add here is that CCNA, there's just one single exam now.
Yeah.
Okay. And after that, there is no specialization tracks at associate level. The specialization happens at the professional level. Okay. So suppose I want to do work into security. Okay. So I go for CCNA and then I go for CCNP security core certification exam.
Yeah.
Okay. And they're kind of like there was a line hard to distinguish between routing, switching, and wireless, because when it comes to developing the wireless infrastructure, network engineers know. You might not be knowing if you have not worked on network, but network engineers know, like any wireless network has a wire somewhere, right?
Obviously.
Right. So they've kind of made that merger of routing, switching, and wireless, and kind of added those wireless stuff into routing, and renamed it to enterprise.
Okay. That means that routing and switching track, like, it is going to be renamed to the
enterprise
one. They've added the wireless as well. Okay.
Yeah. So basically, there will be these 5 tracks for people who don't want to touch anything related to software development. DevNet is separate for the software developers. There will be enterprise, that is routing, switching plus wireless and infrastructure. Enterprise infrastructure. There will be security. Okay, the regular security. Service provider, as always. Collaboration. Okay, even collaboration has changed. I don't think so. We'll be able to discuss all the things. We'll probably have to make another video, right? Earlier I was thinking maybe we'll be able to do it. Now it feels like no. So there's data center. So these 5: enterprise, security, service provider, collaboration, and data center. These 5 tracks are there. Rest everything will be removed. And even this was necessary. Like, if you look, have you looked at the design track? CCDP,
I like they have the same exam like CCNP route and CCNP switch. Then you can either opt the CCNP arc, that is for the design, or you can go for the CCNP T-shoot. That will give you the
it was kind of like an unnecessary overlapping, right? So they kind of removed the design as well. There is no associate design, there is no professional design. There is just CCD now. CCD and CCAR from those design perspective. And that is good as well, because a lot of people, when they went through this training of CCNA, when they went through the books and Cisco Press and whatnot, what they used to do was they used to get how to configure the device, right? But then sometimes they were very not sure. They were not sure generally about, like, where do I place this device? I've seen security people.
Design point of view, like, they were not that much.
Yeah, there were security people I've seen. If I ask them, okay, can you configure ICE? They're like, okay, I can completely configure Identity Services Engine. But if you ask them, okay, where is ICE in your network?
Where to put that particular device in the network?
Yeah, and then they had no clue, like, where is it virtualized and how and what. They just used to work on it. So that's like they've kind of added these design things into these, professional, as well as CCIE has got a big
change. They have changed a lot of things in CCIE. Even they have changed the lab exam that will be available from the Feb 2019.
One point, like, I was checking this. Okay, there's no sequence necessary for these core and concentration exam. Okay, you can go ahead with the concentration exam. Okay, first, then and you become specialist. I'll have to double check on this particular point. I'm not sure, but I think I've read somewhere concentration exam. If you go for concentration exam, you still become a specialist. So kind of like one half is done. If you come back for the core exam,
and then once you complete it, then it will.
Then you become a professional. So that's good as well.
The sequence doesn't matter.
So it's quite flexible, right? And earlier it was very rigid in terms of, like, if you look at sometimes people who had no work to do with certain product, but they had to pursue it just to complete the certification, right? They don't need to do that, I think, for most of these things. Okay. So lastly, you have paid attention more to CCIE. I'll ask you now,
So CCIE routing and switching, like, they have changed it to the CCIE enterprise part, and they have made quite a changes in the lab exam as well. They have changed the entire module of the lab exam. They have changed the way they used to conduct the lab exam. Like, previously we had like total 3 sections in the lab. One was the T-shoot, one was the diag, and then one was the configuration part. Now that, like, they have divided only that thing into 2 parts. So there will be only 2 modules in the lab exam specifically. The core exam can still work as the foundation for the CCIE lab exam as well.
So you mean to say there is no written exam?
There is no written specifically for CCIE.
If somebody wants to go for CCA routing switching, they give this same core exam.
They just give the NCore enterprise core exam, and they can directly go for the lab exam.
Okay.
Lab exam will be conducted like into 2 modules. One is specifically going to focus on the design part, and the second module is specifically going to be focused on development operations and
I heard like it's kind of like DIAG.
Yeah, the first half, the module one,
first 3 hours, I think.
First 3 hours, it is basically specifically like the DIAG that you used to have in the
so you don't get any access of any device.
No device, just maybe like we are not clear exactly at this moment like what things are going to be there, but most probably they will have the logs and everything. You have to think about like from the design point of view.
I think they'll introduce this switching, like what should be connected where, kind of like the design part.
From design point of view, like they have to think about that in that particular module number 1. Then in the second module, you'll have your 5 hours like regular 5. Exam will still be like 8 hours hands-on exam.
Lab exam.
Lab exam will also be like 8 hours exam, and they have like made quite changes in the content.
So people will be able to save a couple of bucks here as well. Like,
obviously.
Earlier people used to go for CCNP 3 exams.
Yeah.
Then another written exam. And then they used to go for this lab exam. So
that was quite critical. Yeah. So they have made a lot of changes. They have made a few changes in the content as well. In the lab exam, they have also introduced the scripting language like Python. They have added.
Okay.
So you have to know the language like Python. That might be
scripting language. You need to script something.
They might have some tasks related to that in the lab exam. Until any further clarification, like as of now we can't say anything, but they have added this thing in the lab exam as well. So most of the content that I have gone through is mostly like same, like most of the content of the CCIE routing and switching that we used to have CCIE routing in version 5, it is mostly the same in the like this CCIE that we have the enterprise one.
Yeah.
So like most of the content like the CCIE routing and switching that we have to have the in version 5, they have exactly the same. They have removed a few things.
Yeah, while you were saying this, and I was just checking my checklist here, okay, and I forgot to mention one important point here is, like, if you look at this certification track, okay, now earlier for CCIE there was no prerequisite, right?
No.
So if you wanted to give a written exam, there was no prerequisite. You could directly jump ahead and go for CCIE written exam. They have brought that to each and every certification. That's when I heard that and read that, I was like, wow, now this is nice, right? Because if you talk about, like, I've seen people, like, even yesterday I was training someone. He has gray hair. Okay, he's like an experienced person,
and he has to go for
and he is doing CCNA
because he has to.
Yeah, because he has to give this exam before he goes for the professional exam. So this is a good news for the experienced people. Like, if you want to begin from professional, you can directly go for the core exam
and
then go for the concentration exam. You get CCNP. Okay. There's no prerequisite. Okay, and this again, takes it same flexible, right? So apart from that, I also checked some things related to CCIE, and first thing, they've changed all the tracks. Okay,
they have changed. They have introduced, I believe, like the SDN part in all the tracks.
Yeah,
they have it in the security. They have it in the.
They have introduced it in collaboration. I'll tell you why. Because with collaboration, what is happening is the service providers, okay, are developing this hosted collaboration solution in which basically you don't have much things on premises. Everything, those servers, hard code stuff, that's all in the cloud, basically in the service provider cloud, and you get it as a managed service. So, things like this for a service provider need to be automated, right? They need to be run through an API, or else he'll not be able to manage so many customers, right? Yeah. So that's what they have added, and CCIE collaboration version 2 is not so old, right? They brought CCIE collaboration version 3.
So what about the people like who are still preparing for the exams? Like, what if someone is preparing for their
current
exam?
you can continue and prepare till Feb 24th, Feb 23rd, from Feb 24th,
They will
2020.
roll out the new
they'll
certificate,
start with the new, and you will have to go for CCI Collaboration version 3. CCIE Data Center version 3 will be there. CCI Security version 6 will be there, and CCI Service Provider version 5 will be there.
This CCI Enterprise Infrastructure, it also so like they can still go for, like, people who are preparing for their exam currently, the current exams, they still have the time to cover the content.
This time Cisco has given even more than 6 months.
Yeah,
if you remember, usually they give 6 months, right? Usually they give 6 months to
I remember, like, it happened in 2015, like when they changed the content from 220 to 225.
Yeah.
For the CCNA.
So they usually give 6 months. Now this time, since they have revamped everything, I think that's why they have been generous enough to give almost like 9 months. If you don't count the June, still at least 8 months they have given you.
And that's quite a long time to cover the
content. Yeah, even if you're if you have not begun the CCI journey, maybe then you should wait. But if you have already begun,
you are in the middle, then you can easily you can
continue, and I think clear the lab exam before. So I think that's pretty much it what we can discuss at this moment. And I'll give a disclaimer here, okay, because things sometimes, the software versions change. Sometimes Cisco decides to change a few things, because till Feb 24, 2020, okay, most of the things will remain like what we discussed, okay, but most likely it's less likely, but sometimes there might be some here or there changes, okay. So just a disclaimer, if you want to cross check it, best resources, go on Cisco website. And I have almost worked with the team on a blog related to same, okay. So I think
it's better to give this complete information onto
in the written, if you want to have a look at that. We'll, I think, add that in the below, whatever subs. We are not very used to YouTube. Okay. So
it will be a good idea to add the link to every information that we have just basically discussed.
Yeah. Okay. And while finishing, I just checked, CCENT.
Yeah,
forgot that.
CCNT, like I think, like, they have the entry level certification in 2 tracks. One is, I believe, data center, and one is the routing and switching. Is it that?
Yeah. So there are 2 entry level exams now, and they removed CCENT and they have renamed it to CCT, Cisco Certified Technician.
Okay.
Although I think now, since CCNA is a single exam, most people would be preferring to go ahead with that rather than
going for the CCT and then exam. Going for the.
But still, that's available.
Most probably, I believe, like in that they will introduce us to the devices like switches, router series, these things. Like, most probably that thing will be there.
Those cabling and concepts, basic of IP addressing and subnetting.
Everything that you need to know before the CCNA.
Yeah.
They might have added in the CCT one. Yeah, most probably.
So fine. I think it was a nice, discussion. I got clarified about certain things.
Yeah.
Okay. So these are some of the certifications which are currently available. Okay, and you can pursue them till Feb 23rd, 2020. And once that is over, then
you have to go for
the newer certifications available. And if you look at that, one thing I'd like to clarify here is I saw one person getting confused into this, and what they did was, like, they thought, okay, DevNet Associate, DevNet Professional, and they thought CCD exam. Okay, don't think this is. It's kind of like, it should be like this. Okay.
Yeah, it's not related to this.
This is a screenshot from Cisco website. Okay, but it should be like this actually. Okay. If someone,
got it.
So just wanted to clarify, because I found 2 people from morning who were not clear on this. So I think that's pretty much what we want to discuss right now, and I'm sure there will be many more questions. I think we should go through the
content or some kind of one more video or a few videos like posting
Yeah,
on the
I
little bit on the
think
content.
let's make one video on the associate, because now there's not much in associate, right? There's not 10, 11
There's only a
associate.
single.
I think we'll make one dedicated video on CCNA. Okay, you promise it on the camera.
Yeah, I'll make one.
Okay, so we'll discuss the CCNA content, what's changed in the next video, and we can discuss like the routing
switching and
Okay.
the others.
I think I'll ask the other people we have here who are specialists into their field to make certain videos of clarifying
dedicated tracks. Yeah.
And we'll discuss some questions. If you have any questions, you can leave them down in the comments. Okay. If you want certain clarification, something which to be explained in the video. Okay. Thanks.
Thank you.